Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is November 12, 2023, and the match between FC Barcelona and Deportivo Alaves just ended with a victory by Barcelona 2-1 with a brace from Robert Lewandowski. And this was a victory where Barcelona took three very important points, but nonetheless, it was not a good sensation. And we will discuss everything. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is Barca News' match analysis or post-match live analysis, which is after every Barcelona match ends. This is not, of course, to be confused with the regular scheduled live streams, which are on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we discuss the news. Now, as always, we'll talk a little bit about the match and then we'll head to the chat section to answer any questions, get a discussion going. And before we begin, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Now, let's dive right in because the match between Barcelona and Deportivo Alaves just ended with a victory by Barcelona 2-1 with a brace by Robert Lewandowski, where Barcelona had to come back from behind after receiving a goal within the first 18 seconds. And despite Barcelona taking home this very important 3 points, and despite Barcelona winning this match, this was not a good match for Barcelona. There were a lot of bad sensations from this match, and this was another weekend and another disastrous performance by Barcelona. Now, this is very worrying at this point because after the disastrous loss in the Champions League against Shakhtar Donetsk and after a disastrous loss against Real Madrid, the disastrous performance against Real Sociedad, this match was supposed to be kind of like the redemption for the team and Xavi. This was going to be the match where supposedly Xavi and the players would start turning things around. And unfortunately, that is not what happened because Barcelona had another disastrous performance despite the victory. And again, despite taking home the very 3 important points. Now, as I said, this is very worrying because there were reports that the players had actually had a dinner amongst themselves over the, I think it was Wednesday night, where they discussed what's going on, where they all decided that they were going to start, come together, push forward, try to overcome this obstacle and try to, pull the team out of the rut that they're in. But again, that is not what I saw today. I saw another disastrous performance by Barcelona, and it doesn't seem that the team are anywhere close to redeeming themselves. Now, there are some positive things out of this match that I will discuss a little bit later, but overall, bad sensations with, again, a static team who cannot circulate the ball the right way. I see absolutely no mechanisms in place. All I see is players passing the ball to the other player. The player stops, looks around. Let me see. What do I do? Who I pass it to? Oh, I can't. There's nobody to pass it to. Let me make a back pass. Let me make a side pass. Very, very slow ball movement. Incredibly predictable team. And, of course, we saw those mistakes in the defense that could have easily cost us at least another 3 goals. Now, we were very lucky in this victory. And this is why I said this was bad sensation, because this victory was not merit of the team. This victory was not due to the good play of the team. This victory was straight up luck, because if Samu had been a little bit more accurate, the first half could have easily ended 4-0 or 0-4 in favor of Alaves. And of course, we also got lucky because we had, one cross to the box that Lewandowski heads it in, a penalty kick against a penalty call made against Ferran Torres. So overall, again, lucky victory, not by merit, not due to the good performance of the team. Another disastrous performance by Barcelona. Another Barcelona static with no ideas, with no tactics, no strategies in place. And it was an absolute shit show. Another weekend and another shit show. And this is starting to become more of a crisis rather than an obstacle, or rather than a bad moment, because it's not looking good at all. And it doesn't seem that the team or Xavi Hernandez know how to fix it. Now, let's start with the chat section. We'll do a few comments, and then we'll dive a little bit more into that formation, into the teams, into the analysis of the team and the players. But let's do a few comments. Let's get a discussion going, and let's see what everyone is saying. Dribbling Football says, we got lucky that Samu Costa missed 2 or 3 sitters. 100%. Had Samu been a little bit more accurate, this could have easily been 0-4 in the first half, and there was no way we could have been able to come back from that. Issa says the defense was unorganized at times. Kunde fell out of shape and unfocused, and there weren't as many chances created. That said, Barcelona controlled the game and performed well. Agreed. I will talk about Kunde a little bit more in detail, so I'm not going to say much right now, but I didn't see any. There wasn't a single shot on target the first half. There was one shot on target by Lewandowski, but he was actually offside, and the referees missed it. So there wasn't a single shot on target the entire first half. It was absolutely disastrous. Not good sensations at all, and very, very disappointed in the team once again. Now, Blaurana Kule says, I hope Lewandowski breaks today is a catalyst. He needs to be 1,000% more effective in the future, like we need him to be. So I've been seeing this a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people commenting about Lewandowski, saying Lewandowski this, Lewandowski that. Let's make something clear. Lewandowski is not the problem here. And I've already seen people calling for his, to be offloaded, which is absolutely ridiculous. Lewandowski is not the problem here. The problem why Lewandowski is not scoring goals and is not getting his chances is because the team cannot get him the ball. Lewandowski is a center forward. He's not an attacking midfielder. He's not a winger. His job is not to drive the ball forward. His job is not to create chances. His job is to stay in the box, wait for the pass, and score the goals. But if nobody can pass him the ball, how is he going to score the goals? It's just impossible. If you don't pitch the ball at your batter, the batter's never going to be able to bat the ball, right? It's the same thing with here. If you can't pass the ball to Lewandowski, how do you expect him to score? If you don't make passes to your wide receiver, your wide receiver is not going to be able to score touchdowns. Doesn't mean your wide receiver sucks. It means your quarterback is not doing his job, right? It's the same thing here. And I apologize for if there's people who didn't get the football reference. I know not everyone that watches this channel lives in the U.S. But the point is, Lewandowski is not the problem. All right. David says, I swear Xabi utilizes black magic. He is so lucky, but we move. I agree. We've been very lucky. We were very lucky this match. We've been very lucky in previous matches. And the thing about luck, it does eventually run out. So unless Barcelona improves, we're in deep, deep trouble. And today, I did not see an improvement. This is why I'm saying this is not an obstacle anymore. This is starting to look more like a crisis. All right, now let's get back more into the analysis of the match. Let's start with the formation of the team because I think there were some mistakes in the formation and the substitutions made by Xavi Hernandez. And this was the formation for today with, of course, Ter Stegen in goal. We had Joao Cancelo on the left back in order to give Alejandro Valdez some rest. Iñigo Martinez and Jules Koundé as the 2 center backs with Ronald Araujo in the right back position. We have Pedri and Gundogan kind of acting like a double pivot in the midfield with Joao Felix, Fermín López, and Lamine Yamal, a line of 3 right behind Robert Lewandowski, kind of as the single attacker or the single forward, I should say. And when I say that I think Xavi made some mistakes with this lineup, it all starts with Jules Koundé playing in the center back position. Now, the reason I say this is because Jules Koundé is an excellent center back. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best center backs in La Liga, maybe even in Europe. But when you know that Alaves have Samu, who's much taller, much bigger, much stronger, an absolute beast of a player as far as size and strength, when you know that Samu is going to be the single forward or the single threat that Alaves have, why would you use Jules Koundé, who's much smaller, to mark Samu when you have Ronald Araujo, who's just as big as Samu and just as physically strong? That absolutely made no sense to me. I understand you're resting Balde, so you had to put Joao Cancelo on the left. But Koundé can also play as a right back. So why not have Koundé play as a right back, which he knows how to do, which he has done in the past? And why not have Ronald Araujo, who's your strongest, tallest, biggest center back, guard Alaves' biggest and stronger player? That made absolutely no sense to me. And that caused us a lot of problems. We saw Samu almost scored another goal because Koundé simply was getting bodied left and right. Koundé could not stop Samu because he was much more physical than him. And it wasn't until Xavi Hernandez switched Koundé to the right and put Araujo as a center back that we finally saw the threat of Samu getting canceled out. So had Xavi Hernandez started Araujo as a center back from the beginning, who knows? Maybe Alaves wouldn't have scored the goal. Maybe they would have. But for sure, we could have at least stopped 2 or the 3 chances that Alaves created because Koundé was not big enough to stop Samu. So that was Xavi Hernandez's first mistake as far as the lineup. But if we go back here to the lineup again, another mistake was subbing out Joao Felix. Now, Joao Felix was horrible as far as his shots on target. He had 2 wide shots completely off target. But overall, Joao Felix was the player who was doing the most on the field. He was pressing high. He was running back to recover the ball. He was dribbling past players. He was winning 1v1s. He was creating chances. He was combining with his teammates. Yes, his finishes were horrible, but overall, Joao Felix was the only threat you had on the field. And then Xavi Hernandez goes and subs him out for Ferran Torres. Now, it did work out eventually because Ferran Torres made some pretty good runs. He had that run that where he was fouled and gave us the penalty kick, which allowed us to win the match. So it worked out. But when you look at it from a tactical perspective, it just did not make sense to take out your best performing player, the only player that's causing threat, to put in Ferran Torres. Now, if Xavi Hernandez wanted Ferran Torres, why not take out Lamine Yamal, who was very ineffective on the right side because there was nobody to combine with, but also because, again, he's 16 years old. You need to protect the player. He can't play 90 minutes. So why not take out Lamine Yamal, put in Ferran Torres, and then keep Joao Felix, who, again, was the only player causing threat on the field. So these 2 glaring mistakes, I think, in the substitutions and in the lineup. As far as the lineup, Xavi did fix his mistake with swapping out Koundé and Araujo. The substitution with Joao Felix ended up working out because of the penalty kick, so some luck in that. But definitely questionable decisions right there by the Barcelona coach. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the team. I want to talk about a few positive things that I saw, and then obviously some negative things, which there are a lot more negative than positive. But nonetheless, I always like to see at least a silver lining. So then we'll talk about both positive and negative things that I saw in the match. Okay, let's see. Barian says, I don't even feel like watching our games. I feel you, man. I really, really feel you. I used to always look forward to Barcelona matches. You know, I would, like a little kid on Christmas Day who wants to open his gift, I'm like, yeah, Barcelona are playing today. I can't wait. And now it's almost getting to the point where I'm like, oh, my God, Barcelona's about to play. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's almost anxiety-inducing because it's just been so bad. All right. Blaurana Kule says, I don't think the whole match was disastrous. The second half was far better than the previous 3 halves we played. I will talk about that in a little bit. But overall, just bad sensations overall. Again, I truly believe we won by luck. It was not due to the merit of the team. Maybe the first goal was, but lots of luck. And it did not seem like a team that was redeeming himself or like they were correcting course from what we've seen in the previous matches. Ahmad says, bro, I love you. You're my favorite Barcelona news. Always watching your videos. Big hug from the UK. Ahmad, thank you so much for your comment. Thank you for watching the live stream and the channel. And thank you for your support. And shout out to everyone in the UK. I know we have several people from the UK who watch the channel. So that's pretty awesome. Curtis says, I back Xavi believing giving him enough time. Well, he had enough time. Most of our games, even last season, was boring football. It's not the players, it's the tactics. And that's down to Xavi. I'm starting to believe, last live stream I did after the UCL, I said, it was definitely Xavi. And I still believe that Xavi is to blame here. But the first goal that Alaves scored is clearly the team as well. So it's not just Xavi, it's definitely the players as well. The team was completely asleep at the wheel when Alaves scored a goal. So I think it's a combination of both. I don't know if the players are not getting Xavi's message or if Xavi does not know how to explain his message to the players or it's a combination of both. but it's just bad overall. And that's why I'm saying we're going from being, kind of in an obstacle or going through a bad moment to outright crisis. Like, this is a crisis all around. The players, the coach, it's just bad all around. Okay, let's see. What else? Dribbling Football says, I agree, we need more gym time than playing more on the ball. I don't agree with that because Barcelona has never been a physical team. Barcelona's he's never had big, strong, physical players. It's never been the case. If you look at the best Barcelona in history, which you can arguably say was the best team in history, which is Pep Guardiola's team, look who they had on their team. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, all incredibly small, slender players who were not physical at all. And yeah, it worked. It worked because they had mechanisms in place. They worked because they knew how to triangulate. They worked because they knew how to do 1-2 passes, short passes. They knew how to circulate the ball quick, which created chances, which made them very unpredictable. But the problem with Xavi's Barcelona is that we don't have any of that. We don't have mechanisms in place. We don't have 1-2 passes. We don't have short, quick passes. We don't attack the space. We just have players who stop the ball, look around, give it to this other guy. This other guy does the same thing, passes it to the other guy. And that's all they do. Pass the ball back and forth, back and forth. That's why. It's not about size. It's not about the gym. Barcelona have never been a physical team. So that's not the problem. Grandmaster Yoda says a lost count of how many useless crosses from the left. Cancelo, sometimes Felix, even Gundogan, to no one. Yamad, the lack of any idea in the team is frightening. 100% agree. It's completely lack of ideas. The team does not know what to do. So again, all they do is just pass the ball. I don't know what to do with it. Let me make a back pass, maybe side pass. And if, I'm an attacker up front, I don't know what to do with the ball. So let me just send the cross into the box and just hope for the best. Hope somebody heads it in. Hope somebody kicks it in. But absolutely no ideas, no tactics, no strategy, nothing in place. Just have 11 players just passing the ball and just trying to figure it out as the time goes. All right, let's get back to the match analysis because I do want to talk about a couple of positive things that I saw and some negative things as well. I'll start with the negatives so we can end on a positive note. Number one is, again, the lack of mechanisms in place. Now, if you don't know what I mean by mechanisms, we can even go as far as calling it, I don't know, choreography, right? Mechanisms are what we used to see with Pep Guardiola's Barca, with Luis Enrique's Barca, is when a player gets the ball, they know exactly what to do with it before they even get it. They know as soon as I get it, my teammate's going to run. I'm going to pass it to him. This other guy's going to make a different run. That guy's going to pass it to him. Those are the mechanisms in place. It's choreography. It's what's going to happen before it happens because you've discussed it, because you've drew it up on the board during the lecture part of the training, and then you trained it during the training, so you know exactly what to do. When I get the ball, everybody else around me know exactly what to do. They know where to run, what kind of runs to make, where to go, and I know exactly where I'm going to pass the ball. And the next guy who gets the ball, then I know exactly where to pass it to. That's what mechanisms are in football, is choreographed movement. And that does not exist in Xavi's Barcelona. There is zero mechanisms in place. Nobody makes runs. There's to the open space. There's no 1-2 passes. There's no triangulations. There's absolutely nothing. Again, it's 11 players on the field who's just winging it. They get the ball. They look around. Let me see. Who do I pass it to? Okay, there's nobody open. Let me pass it to the guy next to me. Let me pass it back to Mark ter Stegen. That's what the team are doing. No mechanisms in place, and it's a big, big problem because without mechanisms in place, you cannot create space. You cannot create openings because all the other team has to do is just stand back and just wait for you, just look at you and what you're doing. So you become incredibly predictable. You can't create any spaces, and you make the job of the opposing team a lot more easier. So zero mechanisms in place is the number one negative thing out of this match or out of the entire season, and that's been a constant problem that has not been fixed and needs to be fixed ASAP. A second thing is that the team seems to still be lacking motivation. The way the team was playing the first half was sad. It wasn't just the lack of ball circulation, the lack of mechanisms. it looked like they didn't even want to be there. The way they were running, the way they were passing the ball, they looked like it was a burden to them. Like, I don't even want to be here. What am I doing here? And that's not good, because that's a clear reflection that the team are going through a very bad mental stage. The third negative thing that I would say I've seen today's match and in the whole previous season is that, how do I put this in words or I can explain it a little bit better? I'm kind of blanking here. I want to say the lack of ideas. There's no ideas of what to do with the ball. And maybe this ties in a little bit with the first point, for the lack of mechanisms in place, but there's really no ideas on what to do. And Barcelona used to be a team that thrived with ball possession. But now it looks like the team does not know what to do with the ball. Like when a player gets the ball, he just wants to get rid of it because he doesn't know what to do. And that's also very concerning, because if you don't know what to do with the ball and you don't know what to do without the ball, which has always been a Barcelona problem, right? Barcelona has always thrived when they have the ball, but they suffer when they don't have the ball. But in this case, the team suffers with and suffers without the ball. And that's very, very concerning. And those, I would say, the three major things that not only I've seen in this match, negative things in this match, but overall throughout the whole season. There's no mechanisms in place. There's horrible ball circulation. The team does not know what to do with the ball. They have no clear ideas, and their mental state is not there. Now, the positive things, there's a couple of positive things. The first thing is the way the team came back after the break. I think that was a little bit inspiring. They seem a lot more motivated. They seem a lot more intent on winning. So that was good to see. Not as perhaps motivated as you would want to see them, but it was an improvement. So at least they went into the halftime knowing, okay, we're losing, we're not doing good, let's come back and do better. So that's good. At least the team was not defeated completely after the half break. The second positive things is, again, Xabi redeeming himself with the formation, swapping out Koundé for Araujo, because that was a big mistake. That mistake should have never happened to begin with, but at least he recognized the mistake. He was able to fix it. So that's good, because had he made the mistake and still not been able to see it, that would have been very concerning. And, with the substitutions, I think bringing in Rafinha as more of an interior was the right move for Fermin Lopez, because Fermin was not having a good match. Not a reflection on Fermin. Fermin is a great player, but, sometimes players have bad matches. And I think, I would have preferred Ferran to come in for Lamine, but bringing Ferran off the bench, I think that was the good call. And then bringing Romeo for Pedri, that was a good call too, because Pedri needs his rest. And then Romeo kind of slows down the games, kind of gives you that more stability. So that's the two positive things I can think of or even make up. I'm trying to be positive here, but overall, bad sensations. And again, a win due to luck more than a win due to merit. All right, let's see. Young Braveheart says, I think we've been too soft, bro. These players get pushed around like nothing. Can't handle stuff. If we can't get stronger and handle other team playing more physical against us, we are too weak. Again, I don't think it's a physical problem. Barcelona has never been a physical team. We've always had small players. The difference is before, Barcelona used to move the ball so fast that the players didn't even have time to be fouled, right? Because when you get the ball and you got a defender coming at you and you immediately get rid of it because you know where to pass it, you know who to pass it to, the defender's not going to foul you because you no longer have the ball. But since we're circulating the ball so slow, a player, Barca player gets the ball, he's looking around, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds go by, he still has the ball because he doesn't know what to do with it. It gives plenty of time to the opposing team to come close down, foul you, take the ball from you. So it's not a physical thing. If the team moved the ball a lot faster like they've always have before in the past, then it wouldn't even matter. But that's the big problem, right? We don't know what to do with the ball. We want the ball, but we don't know what to do with it. Team One says, Koundé requested to play CB and Xabi does not have the guts or authority to force him to play as right back. That's not true. Actually, Koundé has already completely denied that. He himself, I think it was before the Shakhtar match where Koundé cleared the air and said that all that was just rumors in the press, that yes, he does prefer to play CB, But no, he's not opposed to playing right back. He'll play wherever Xabi wants him. So that's not true. Daniel says, it just seems to me that Xabi negates modern fast football. His whole system is ball possession, and there is not much more behind it than lobs over the back line, not any combination on the ground. 100% agree. It's like, let's get the ball, but then once we have the ball, what do we do with it, right? And then eventually the team gets desperate, so they just send cross after cross after cross into the box, and let's hope for a miracle. This time we got the miracle. Lewandowski, brilliant header into the goal, and then we got another lucky break where we got a penalty kick. All right, let's see. Grandmaster Yura says, I feel sorry for everyone who started watching Barca not long ago, man. Yeah, actually, I would say even the other way around too, because I feel like people watched Barca during the Pep Guardiola years, and now they always expect that. So I think it plays both ways. Okay. Meg says, to whoever said sell Pedri, this was his first start from an injury. He lacked sharpness, which happens to everyone, and he played a position which needs a lot of sharpness. I agree. I mean, I've heard people say on my channel, sell Pedri. I've heard people say sell Gabi. I've heard people say sell Lewandowski. I mean, sometimes I hear some crazy things, and I think it's just due to, it's scapegoating, right? People, when they see the team not performing well, they want to blame someone. And most of the time, they don't know who to blame because they either don't have the capability to analyze a match correctly, or they don't have the capability to see exactly what's going wrong. So since they can't do that and they have the need to blame someone, it's just like almost like a draw of a hat, right? It's like, I don't know, someone, Gabi, it's him. No, it's not Gabi. Okay, Ter Stegen, he's the problem. No, it's not. Okay, it's the ref. It's the lights. It's the grass. It's the sun. It was too bright. So it's like they need to blame somebody. Since they don't know who to blame, they just throw out names out there. Okay, one more, and then we'll get back and discuss a few more things. But is that Jalsh? Or I hope it's Jalsh. It says, I think Xabi was brought in too early. Should have taken some time coaching Barca B. They can build up his coaching. He was thrown right into the fire. Maybe he needed more experience, or maybe he's just, not cut out to be a Barca coach. I don't know. Okay, Max says Gundogan didn't play good because he didn't know what to do. He played with Guardiola, who tells his team instructions, but with Xabi, it's like he just tells them to go and play as they want. I agree, and I think that goes for everybody. I think most players in Barcelona are not being the best top of their form because they're not getting instructions, or maybe they are getting the instructions, but they don't understand it. Maybe it's a combination of both. But we could see that Xabi is not getting the best out of his players, and this is exactly why. Because they don't know what to do on the field. Because they just don't. And again, I don't know if it's Xabi who's not giving them any instructions, or if Xabi is giving them instructions, but they're not getting it, or a combination of both. But that's the big problem. And we can see that with, for example, the players who have left, right? We see Eric Garcia, who everybody was yelling to offload him, that he's trash, he's garbage. He's a fundamental piece of Girona's team this season, and Girona are currently the best team in La Liga. So Eric Garcia is one of the best players of the best teams in La Liga, because again, Xabi did not know how to utilize it, right? We see players like Romeo, who's not shining at Barcelona now that Frankie's injured, who's everybody screaming for his head, but yet with Girona, he was one of the best pivots in the whole league, and now Girona actually are leaving the door open for him to go back. And again, Girona, best team in the league, and we saw what Romeo was able to do with the best team in the league last season, and now the best team in the league want him back because Xavi's not getting the best out of him. Like Gundogan, right? Won the treble with Man City, right? So it's like we're seeing all these players that Xavi's not getting the best out of them, and it's because there are no ideas, there's no instructions. It's just, again, 11 players on the field who's just winging it, just freestyling it. All right, one more, and then we'll talk about a few more things, and we'll end the live stream. But Daniel says, these past weeks also showed how integral Frankie de Jong is for the team. He dares to break lines and constantly finds way to surprise the opponent. Definitely. Frankie de Jong has become like half of the team. It's like you lose Frankie, and it's like almost you lose half the team. which it's pretty troubling because this is Barcelona, and Barcelona should not completely fall apart just because they lost one player, right? Barcelona should be able to keep going even if they lose 2-3 players. Should still be able to function, because that's the thing. When you have a system in place, when you have mechanisms in place, when you have style of play in place, the players almost become not as important as when you don't. I'm not saying that players are not important at all. Of course they are. But when you have the system in place, you take out one player, you put another one, the system continues to work, right? But when you depend on individual talent, when you lose one of those talents, now you're in trouble. Okay, let's talk about one more thing and then we'll end, because we do now have that FIFA international break where the team will be off for a couple of weeks. I usually am very afraid of the FIFA international breaks because we've had really bad luck in the past where some of our key players have been injured. So I'm usually very weary of international breaks. I'm usually don't look forward to them. But for the first time, I'm actually looking forward to this one because I really do believe that the team needs a reset. The team, again, this is not an obstacle. This is not a bad moment that they're going through. This is almost a crisis, and the team needs to rebound from it. And I think maybe the break will help us, because we need to reset, because the next 4 matches are incredibly scary. Now let's look at the Barcelona schedule, because right after the international break ends on November 25th, La Liga will resume, and we have to face Rayo Vallecano in Vallecas. Now you might think, Rayo Vallecano, they suck. They don't. Rayo Vallecano are having a very strong season this season. This match is in Rayo Vallecano's stadium, and Rayo Vallecano has only lost one single match at home this whole season, and was against Atletico de Madrid. Now, let's not forget Rayo Vallecano also just caused Real Madrid to drop points last weekend because they drew. So this is not an opponent to underestimate. Now, right after that, we got Barcelona versus Porto in the Champions League. And this is going to be a crucial match because after Barcelona blew their chance to qualify to the knockout stages, because all they needed was to either win or draw against Shakhtar, and since they lost, they blew their chance to qualify. This Porto match is going to be very important, because if Barcelona lose that match, then we're in deep trouble, and we are at risk of not qualifying to the knockout stages for the 3rd season in a row. Now, the problem is that the first match against Porto was an absolute disaster, and Barcelona won by pure luck because Porto dominated that match. They scored, they created more chances, and we absolutely won that match by luck. So I'm not feeling confident going into this match with Porto, which, again, we need to win it, because if we lose it, we're in deep trouble, and we're at risk of not qualifying to the knockout stages. And right after that, we have Atletico de Madrid, who are also doing strong this season. And right after that, we have Girona, who are currently the best team in La Liga. So very scary schedule ahead. It's a schedule that's going to determine both competitions. It's a schedule where we could easily lose the race for La Liga. If we lose all these 3 matches, we're going to be way too far from Girona, from Madrid. Atletico Madrid will definitely surpass us. And it's a match where we could also end up being knocked out of the Champions League. So very scary 4 matches coming up. So Barcelona really need to reset. They really need to start getting their act together. Otherwise, we're in trouble in both La Liga and the Champions League, because, again, crucial 4 matches coming up right after the international break. All right, let's do a few more comments and then we'll end this video or this live stream, because I do have a news video coming up right after. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Andres says that Barca is matter how you play. It's not only about winning. In the past season, we had that. We won a lot of games, but mostly the game was awful. In this season, even the defense, it's like, I agree 100%. I'm not about just results. I'm about how the team performs too. If I only cared about results, I wouldn't bother to watch the matches. I would just, look up the result when the match is over. So it is about both. It's very important, both. And I agree. Half the second half of last season, we had the results, but the performance was not there. And this season, we don't have either, right? We're losing and drawing matches, and we're not even playing good. So very, very troubling. Thing needs to be reverted. The situation needs to be reverted. Otherwise, we're in deep trouble, and we are at risk of not winning a single trophy this season. All right, Chico says, Mo, sometimes learn to give credit where it's due. You don't have to criticize all the time. Moreover, none of us is playing professional football. I mean, look, my friend, the team is obviously going through a crisis. This is not my words. It's Xavi's words. It's the players' words. Every single analyst and pundit in the world is saying the same thing. If you want me to bury my head in the sand and just say everything's wonderful, Barcelona are great, players are great, Xavi is great, everything's great, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, I'm not here to sell you smoke. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not here to color everything rosy and it's all beautiful, because that's not the situation. The situation is bad. We have to admit that it's bad. We have to recognize that it's bad in order for us to begin fixing it. Because if you just bury your head in sand and just say everything's good, then how do you expect to improve? All right, Chris says, Pedri and Balde are not playing international matches. That's good. Hopefully Frankie is back too. Yes, so Pedri, I reported about this in the last video. The Spanish coach told him that he was not going to call him up because he wants to, preserve his health, which I thought it was a really great gesture by Luis de la Fuente. And then Balde, unfortunately, was not called up because, his form has dipped. I mean, it's good for us because we can prevent his injury, but it's also bad because it is an indication that he does need to step it up a little bit. And then Frankie, Frankie will be back for Rayo Vallecano. He technically could have been back today, but Barcelona decided not to risk it because they didn't want to call him up today and then have maybe Netherlands call him up during international break and get re-injured. So they prefer to keep him on the injury list. That way he doesn't go on an international break. But Frankie will be back against Rayo Vallecano. All right, and on that note, we will end the live stream. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for your likes, for your comments, for your support. You guys are absolutely amazing. I will see you in the news video later today. So I will not say goodbye yet, but I will say, Visca Barça.